Hey guys, it's Rich with your Monday Spot and the Pagan Perspective. First off, I want to say please excuse the glare on my glasses. I'm outside. I'm trying to do this video and I have not unpacked my lighting equipment. I know where it is. I just don't have the space right now to set it up. And whenever I get the space to set it up, and hopefully this will be completed by next week, I will have a regular spot to do my videos and whatnot. But right now I'm outside trying to do the video because, well, there's not that many places in the house that I can do it with good lighting where it doesn't throw off the colors of my face and whatnot. Anyway, let's get to this week's Pagan Perspective topic. This one comes from our very own Meghan, and it is about Christian privilege. We did a video, I think, a few months ago, maybe a year ago. I can't remember how long ago exactly, on privilege and whatnot, and what type of privileges are out there, stuff like that. And if we haven't talked about it on this channel, then it must have been one of my personal channel videos. So, yeah. Anyway, this is specifically talking about Christian privilege in our lives. So, Meghan asks, how are you affected by Christian privilege in your life? If you wish, please share some experiences of the ways that you have been impacted by being a minority faith. And I want to stop right there and say that I am probably more of a minority faith than most people, I guess, because a lot of pagans don't really take to the Christo-pagans, and a lot of Christians don't take to Christo-pagans. It's really not that recognized of a type of religion or type of faith practice. So in that aspect, I would have to say that there's a lot on both sides of the spectrum that I don't really get the privileges of, or maybe I get more of the privileges from both of them, or more of the benefits from both of them. And but I also get, and I think I speak for a lot of Christo-pagans out there too, that I kind of also get the more negative from both sides. So, yeah, there's good privileges and then there's bad privileges whenever you're speaking of a Christo-pagan type of path or spiritual practice. So, yes, I would have to say that that is something that has happened in my practice, is that I've had a lot of pagans saying that Christo-paganism isn't a thing, or Christian Wicca isn't a thing, and you can't be both. And I've had Christians tell me that, that's not Christianity, and, you're not following Jesus the way that, like the Bible says that you're supposed to, and stuff like that. I've had it from both sides of the aisle, if you will, in that aspect. So that's one thing I would say that both Christian and pagan privilege has worked for and against me. As far as the Christian privilege being in my life, I have seen a lot of it. And I'm not probably the best one to speak on privilege, being a free white male in America over the age of 21 in the military that doesn't seem to be gay until I start talking and a purse falls out of my mouth. Probably not the best one to speak on not having privilege in one area of my life or another. But I'm also drawn to a podcast, a Modern Witch podcast, where Thorn Coyle was being interviewed. And they said on there that, it's not necessarily about, and I'm paraphrasing, of course. It's been a while since I've listened to this podcast, so if I don't get it exactly on the nail on the head, please excuse me on this. But the point was that if you don't have the privilege, then seek to get that privilege, to be able to be on the same plane, the same level as everybody else, because you should be. And another thing was, if you have that privilege, try to pull people up that don't have that privilege and start giving your privilege to other people and bringing them up to be your equal, rather than letting them just fight and fend for themselves type of thing. So that was one thing that I'm constantly drawn to as I see more and more that I have privilege in this life, that I need to be one of those people out there that, kind of fight for people that are in the minority, whether it be in the pagan minority or the Christian minority or in the LGBTQ community, in just about any minority that you can think of. Basically is what I'm getting at. Megan also asks, do you find that Christian privilege is often excluded when people discuss privilege, such as white privilege, male privilege, straight privilege, able-bodied privilege, socioeconomic privilege, cisgender privilege, to name just a few? Finally, what ways do you feel society can change to be more inclusive of minority faiths such as yours? So I do think that Christian privilege is one that's kind of glossed over or not looked at, basically because it's become such a mainstream majority thing within America, at very least. It is a majority religion, so therefore people just kind of, think that everybody's Christian if they are Christian, or if they are surrounded by a Christian community, they think that everybody else outside of that community is also Christian. That's just something that they think. Just like if you are only surrounded by straight people all your life, you think, well, hey, everybody's straight. If you've never been exposed to somebody that is outside of your type of group setting, your type of way of life, you don't think of, something outside of that. It's the same as some rich people out there, or, that have the wealthy privilege, that they don't understand that there are people out there that are struggling, that are trying to make ends meet, that just can't, and they don't understand it because they've never seen it or they've never experienced it. So I think it is one of those things that is kind of glossed over because, a lot of people that are talking about it aren't necessarily bringing it to the forefront. I think with the current political situation, I think it's being brought very much to the forefront. And it's kind of giving more privilege to certain sects of people, certain Christian organizations out there that doesn't necessarily need to be having any more privilege than what they already have. But I think whenever we bring the Christian privilege to the forefront and actually bring more attention to it, that this is a privilege that a lot of people are taking advantage of, and that is actually having more given to them rather than other religions or other minorities, other minority faiths. I think if we bring that subject more to the forefront, then we will have more equality out there. And whenever I think of this, I think of a few years back whenever Fox News did their big thing against a college that was giving Wiccans the Sabbaths off, like giving them days off from college to go and celebrate their Sabbaths. And there was a big uproar, and everybody was all over Fox about how could you demean somebody's religion like that. And it was a big deal, and it's terrible that they did that. But I think bringing something like that more to the forefront, that certain people have this privilege, that they are given days off from work, or that they're expected to not work on a certain day or to work on a day that is considered holy to them. I think that is something that needs to be brought more to the forefront. And to combat that, I would say that if you are in a managerial type of position, if you are a manager or you are the owner or one that makes a schedule for people in your workplace, that you can actually be the change in that organization. You can ask people, hey, is there a day that means more to you than any other day, or is there a day that is a holy day for you that you would rather have off? Rather than having to work this day, we can reschedule you for a different day, so you get the same amount of hours and stuff like that, and you don't have to use one of your vacation days. So the people that are in the managerial type of setting can have a certain type of privilege where we can actually bring people to more of an equality. That doesn't necessarily mean that those of us who are not in a managerial type of position don't have the power. We can still speak up and say, hey, this, and I want to make this clear, if it is safe for you to do so in your job, you can do this, that you can speak up and say, hey, this is a holy day for me. Can I have this off instead of using a vacation day or something like that? Can I have this off and I will work on this day that is not considered a holy day to me, but is considered a holy day to you? And, you can come to that agreement. Something like that, I think, there's ways to make the change, and those of us that are in the position to be the change, those in the managerial type of setting, we kind of have that responsibility with that extra title and everything, and the extra pay that comes along with it. And those of us who are not in the managerial type of position, we kind of have the capability of still standing up and saying, hey, I kind of need this time. So I think I covered all the bases that I wanted to. Privilege is a hard topic for me to discuss because there is so much privilege in my life, and I do try to bring people up to an equality type of setting, and it's not always easy, or I try to make people see that, they do have the privilege that they have. Matter of fact, whenever I was in Korea, there was a time whenever, right after the election, somebody was telling me that, nothing's going to change. And I said, nothing's going to change for you. And my supervisor, who was a black man, older than me, and he looked at me, he says, he's exactly right. And I said to the guy that was saying that nothing was going to change, I told him, I said, you are a white male over 21 in the military who is straight. Nothing will change for you. I said, however, people like this supervisor of mine who was standing there, I said, people like him who are a black male over 21 in the military has it harder than you do. People in the LGBTQIA community have it more difficult than you do, whether they are male or female or otherwise. I said, they have it harder for you. Just because you don't see that you have this privilege does not mean it is not there. And that's something that I, as a guy that does not seem to be without privilege, or to have negative privilege, or whatever, however you want to term it, for somebody that does not seem like he has anything going against him, yes, I do. But there is also a lot of things working for me that I try to bring people up, to make them equal, to bring the enlightenment to others who don't see that they have the privileges that they do have. So I hope this made sense. I'm going to try to edit this down. And this is a difficult topic for me to discuss, but it is there. And I hope I made it coherent. And I wish you all, as always, love, hugs, and ladybugs. Happy Beltane, and goodbye.